Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Inner Healing Journey with Randy May. So, this is a podcast created to inspire curiosity and to provide a space to explore our inner world, to question everything with openness, free from judgment, and in the pursuit of truth. So, together, we'll explore what it means to take responsibility for our own healing with that greater awareness. Because, my lovelies, self awareness is the key. So let's begin this journey together. Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of my podcast. So I'm going to start this with an opening question, and I'm going to ask you, what does the word spiritual or being spiritual actually mean to you? So, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, that is it something that maybe you are? Is it something that you do? Or is it something that you actually just believe? Or is it simply another identity that we've created? So, yeah, let's share the journey here. Um, so, I suppose for me, when way back, years and years ago, when I first started on this pathway, which I was probably about 18, and I would say that spiritual for me was all about the other side, the connecting with the loved ones, tarot cards. It was all that for me at the beginning. And as years gone by, you start to believe there's other doors that are opening, like, things into healing, stuff like there's different tools to use to connect to the other side. And you start to read more books about spirituality. Um, and I'm trying to remember what book I started with, but do you know what? I actually can't remember. I've read so many of the books, but what I will say with the books is that it is somebody else's interpretation, even if it's down to channeling somebody else from the other side, or it's still got to be interpreted by you. So it's got to go through your own energy field. And we can get that a bit distorted sometimes, can't we? So it's always best to, when you read the books or you I suppose, research or explore spirituality in every way, you have to, for me at the moment, is you have to resonate with it. And if you resonate with it, great. If you don't, then it just isn't worth exploring, because you do need to resonate with it. And when I say resonate, I mean I had to resonate with it from within myself. So I can't explain the feeling. It was just a knowingness of, this feels right to me. So of course, my journey started with that, but like I said, as you go through the years, other doors start opening where you start to explore everything about spirituality. And there's many different, I want to say religions, but I don't like that word, but I suppose they are classed as that. But in the spiritual community, you might look at Buddhism and stuff like that. And I don't think any path is wrong. I just think that it's all part of discovering who we truly are. And sometimes we have to explore many, many different ways that we would find in spirituality to discover who we are. However, we can get a little bit lost in that, can't we? I know I did. So we can get a little bit lost. We can probably take on that identity, and take on those beliefs as well of others, um, whether we resonate with it or not. And I think the challenge is to discover your resonance yourself, and I suppose stepping back from spirituality in a way, so that you can learn to discover your own resonance, which can be a bit scary, guys. It can be a bit scary. So I did explore healing. Excuse me. I explored meditation, cards, energy work, consciousness, self-awareness. It led me down a lot of different paths. And I'm going to admit that for a long time, for many years, I classed myself as spiritual because I really didn't understand what spiritual actually meant, if I'm being honest. Did I? I was going on what other people were saying. I was holding on to identity. And it's funny because I was discussing with my friend today about identity and how we've been alluded into identities right from the start, haven't we? From when you're born and you have a name and given identities right from the start. And I think, as we discussed today, we said that we're moving through all those identities now and releasing those parts of us, those old versions of ourselves, so that we can become who we truly are. Because we're not identities, we're not our thoughts, we're not even a human. We are like consciousness, um, a soul, whatever works for you. So over the years, something did shift for me, definitely. And more so over the last maybe a couple of years, it's really shifted. I think I've always known that I needed to explore different things because a lot of things, even though I believed in them, there were questions that I had to ask about that. Because something within it wasn't quite right for me or it didn't work. So that gives you the opportunity, in all fairness, to explore it even more. So obviously, this led to a very deeper journey for me, and I'm sure many of you will resonate with that. Takes you on so many different pathways. And you do become, well, I did, less interested with identifying with anything at all, I'll be honest. And that's why I've come away from the spiritual community as such. And I suppose labeling myself as spiritual, I just don't do that anymore because I'm not identifying with anything. I suppose I'm just being, really. So my focus moved from becoming spiritual to be more understanding of myself, actually. I suppose that's when the dark night of the soul comes in, the inner healing, really discovering like all the versions of yourself that you have become and all the identities and questioning that and questioning your beliefs and your limiting beliefs. And yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Um, I suppose, though, for me, you do collect a lot of spiritual knowledge, in all fairness, whether it's the right knowledge or what, I don't know. I just think that, I think anything that we get is needed at that time. It's for a purpose at that time. It like anything, it might be down the line that it's no longer resonant now. It's no longer needed. It's like limiting beliefs, isn't it? It's like those beliefs that we grew up with no longer resonate. They just no longer matter. So I think that's what this spiritual pathway is about as well. And I think what I'd like to do now is just ask questions for you to just listen and ponder on. And I would encourage you to pause me after each question and have a pen and paper ready and just write down what you get. Because this is like really resonant with your inner self, going off the cuff, not overthinking things. So here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this. So don't forget to pause me, or you may want to just listen to me all through the episode, and then decide I'm going to go back to that bit where the question. So you go with what you think. So let's go to the first question. So, who would you be without the label spiritual? So, if you do identify as spiritual, who would you be without it? That's a really interesting question, isn't it? Because I can sit here now and think, when I look back, when I decided not to identify as that or anything, actually, I thought, well, who am I then? So, I suppose that that's a really interesting question, but a question that you can actually go very deep with. The second question would be, do you feel pressure to fit into a spiritual identity? And when I look back, I think I did because when I went to see mediums and stuff like that, when I was 18, when I first saw a medium, she was brilliant. Her name was Vera Courtney. She was an amazing medium. Smoked like a trooper, but she was just so like grounded. She was just amazing. Anyway, she said to me that you have this gift, and I thought, what's she talking about? What is she talking about now? And she said, you will be a medium. You will do this, and sure enough, I did. But at the time, I think I because she told me that I felt pressure to become that identity. So when I look back, when you're told things, um, you immediately do identify with it. You really do, even if it's like a few years later. And it was a few years later for me. It was many years later. Even though I had different things happening to me, I was like under pressure to go to development circle and hone in on my gifts and whatever. So that's a really good question. The third question is, have you ever felt you had to act a certain way because of that label? Now, this is really good. This is really good, because I certainly did, and it turns out that actually that really isn't the way to be. Now, I'm hoping that you've paused me and come back and done all your stuff and come back to this question, because I want to now talk to you about this just very briefly, because acting a certain way. So from the expectations of others that I've experienced, they expect spiritual people to be all singing and dancing, all love and light, all like just calm and um, serene, whatever. Now, I'm going to give you the reality of that, okay? Being spiritual, if you want to still label yourself as that, is so not that at all. You are a pinch of salt, pinch of sugar, and a whole lot of shit in the middle, okay? Because you cannot be someone or identify as someone that you're not, okay? And we have to get rid of those old versions of ourselves. So being spiritual for me is just walking your path and showing up every part of you, even including the parts of you that you've hidden or suppressed or you don't like about yourself. So being spiritual for me, and I had to learn this, is certainly not what others think it is. Um, Next question, guys. Are there beliefs you've adopted simply because they're considered spiritual? Yes, absolutely, I have. Now, it'd be interesting to see in your comments, if you do wish to comment, what those adopted beliefs were. Any of these questions, if you're wanting to comment, please do. I'm really, really excited to hear them. So, what have you adopted in belief systems because you thought they're spiritual, so I need to adopt them? I can tell you, most of mine have been adopted because of that reason. And your last question is, what if your truth exists beyond any label at all? Very interesting question. And it's a question, this is where I'm at now, that my truth is not labeled. It is just truth. It's just what I believe is true within myself because I feel it, I resonate with it. So it's really interesting. So, yes, before we move forward with the chat here, please do comment what come up for you on that. And do trust that you might go a bit deeper with them with the questions, and that's okay. That's actually really good that you go deeper. Let your pen write. Now, I want to talk about now the spiritual community, because this is something I've come across quite a lot over the last couple of years. Now, this is where you can gently challenge your beliefs here, and um, you can go within and challenge yourself about what spiritual community is. So, over the years, I've met really some wonderful people. I really have, and they've been within those spiritual communities. But I'm going to be honest, I've also witnessed something that made me reflect very deeply. Okay. And most of it was because now, when I reflect on it, I can see that their patterns, their behaviors were just looping, I suppose is the word, re-looping. So they weren't actually aware, they weren't self-aware, and they certainly weren't doing the healing. But that made me aware of my patterns and my behaviors and my looping. Isn't that strange? Yeah. So I've heard people speak about love and kindness and compassion and higher consciousness. Yet, moments later, I find them judging, gossiping, and criticizing others. And I've been one of them, okay? And I'm sure if you are honest with yourself, you've done it yourself. But this is not for you to judge yourself. This is just to become aware, because it is a pattern. It is a pattern that we form, judging, gossiping, criticizing, but not doing the bloody work ourselves. Okay, this is where I've been, and it did make me sort of like stop and think, oh my god, being interested in spirituality doesn't automatically mean that we've healed our wounds, does it? And the people that I've seen and come across have been a mirror to me. And I can't say about them doing their inner healing. That's up to them. But for me, it was like, geez, I need to go a lot deeper than this. Spirituality is not about this. It's about myself. It's about my inner stuff. Hence why I did my group. And it was, I thought I was doing my group for psychic development and stuff. Oh, no, 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 no. My group then became for inner healing, because that is what was needed. It was self-awareness. It was healing our wounds, our traumas. And I'm not here to heal. I'm here to create that space for that. And I had to learn that very quickly as well, which is another episode, obviously. Um, so I suppose using spiritual language doesn't mean that we've explored like the shadow side, the dark night of the soul. And that's something I had to learn quickly as well, because it was all coming up for me. The parts of me I didn't like, the traumas that were coming up in my emotions, my responses, my reactions, and I didn't understand it. But when you do the dark night of the soul and the shadow work, you do become more and more aware. And it's hard work, it's painful stuff to do, but it is worth it. Now, calling ourselves spiritual does not mean that, we have taken responsibility for our inner world. And that's certainly something I can definitely relate to, because I didn't know about that then. I didn't understand it. I didn't know it. I really didn't understand about our inner stuff, I wasn't connected to my emotions anyway because of the trauma. So, it's fight, flight, freeze mode. I didn't get any of it. And now it's like flipping heck, you've got to do the reflection. You've got to do reflecting on a deeper level. So perhaps, not for everybody, but spirituality isn't about appearing enlightened. And for me, it isn't. Spiritual is messy. It is messy work. Um, and it's also about being honest about our fears, our triggers, judging our judgments and our wounds. It's about everything and all the good. Yeah. I don't like to say good and bad, but I'm trying to do this so you can relate. Because true healing really does begin when you stop pretending and you've transcended. Um, it's not about just cards and mediumship. You've really got to take responsibility for your own inner world, and becoming bloody aware, absolutely self aware of you. Never mind judging others. We need to be self aware of ourselves first. So, I know I've got more questions here, guys, but I just think this one is quite a deep one. So let's start. Again, pause me when you need to. What parts of yourself do you still avoid looking at? Very, very interesting question. And you just need to give yourself some time to see what comes up for you. You'll probably feel it before anything else. Secondly, are you using spirituality as a path to truth or as an escape from discomfort? Oh my God. How true is that question? I can absolutely say that part of my pathway has been because of the discomfort, not the truth, because I didn't understand it then. And I'm sure many of you will resonate with that you just don't understand. You didn't understand. Third question, are you seeking enlightenment or understanding? Mine is understanding, but previous it was enlightenment. What does authentic healing mean to you? It's going to be a very deep question because you might not understand it, but explore it. Just explore it. And the last question, can you be deeply conscious without needing an identity attached to it? Can you actually be deeply conscious without needing an identity attached to it? And again, let me know in the comments how those questions went for you. What came up for you? What did you find interesting? What did you find challenging? So, today, I don't know if I resonate with the word spiritual anymore. That is absolutely true. I don't actually. I don't. I think that spiritual, or the word spiritual, has been hijacked quite a lot. There's been a lot of expectations attached to it. And I also believe we don't need any identity at all. And it's not because I've rejected the journey, guys, because I haven't. But it's just gone on a different pathway. But it is because the journey's become something much simpler. Okay. It's become more about awareness for me. It's become about understanding myself. It's about becoming and taking responsibility for my inner world. And perhaps that's the invitation I'd like to leave you with today. Not to ask whether you're spiritual. I don't think that matters. It's what it means to you. But it's to ask whether you're truly willing to know yourself. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone that might benefit from this. Until next time, remember the answers are not outside of you. So stay curious, stay aware, and remember the answers are not outside of you. They never were. Have a magical day.